Oh, well, making Petraeus, top dog in Afghanistan, solve the administration's national security problems. Joining me now with analysis of today's events, best-selling author, columnist, the one, the only, Coulter. Here's my main question in all of this, because I've gone over this article in great specificity and detail. All right, I would argue it's unwise to talk to Rolling Stone. Fair. You don't have Rolling Stone follow you around for weeks and hear
I would say it's unwise for anyone to ever talk to Rolling Stone. Yes, you have me there. My guess is.
Right, well, you spoke to the Time magazine, if I recall, so that was pretty dumb too. But it came out okay. But here's my point. I think that was unwise. But if you look at the article, tell me what he said that deserved firing.
Absolutely right. I'm starting to think from watching the commentary that you and I are the only people who have read that
Mark
article.
Levin, he and I, he's been screaming about it. He's another one.
It's shocking. I ran out all of the possibly most aggressive things. As you say, for one thing, they aren't said by McChrystal himself. Now, okay, you can still say, well, except these people work for him, but even the things said by the people who work for him, the most aggressive one...
Joe Biden.
That was funny. That was a joke. I think a joke is always fun. No, but the most aggressive thing that was said was, and this is secondhand, that the first time McChrystal met President, he thought Obama looked uncomfortable and intimidated by all the military brass.
Yeah.
As you and I have discussed before, we have the most thin-skinned president America has ever seen. Though I will say, I mean, I do think it's the right decision for the wrong reason, because and I have heard this from troops in Afghanistan, I assume you have too, they are chafing, and of all the people in the military, or actually any place in the entire command I'd listen to, I'll listen to the troops on the ground over a general, over a president, and they have been chafing at these very restrictive rules on which insurgents they can shoot. They need to have an insurgent absolutely identified to them by an Afghani before they can treat it like an insurgent.
Here's what is most fascinating.
Or look for a gun, and that is McChrystal's strategy. McChrystal wants to say, as the Rolling Stone guy says, wants to turn the military into, you know, the Peace Corps with guns, I think he says.
They're actually, the new Obama rules of engagement, which is a great point, they're actually warning people a week ahead of time. We are going to inspect your house.
Right.
And there's reports that these guys don't have weaponry available at the time. If there's one thing that drives me crazy in all of this, McChrystal voted for Obama.
Yes, he did.
One of the few military people that I know that supported him. All right, number one. Number two, McChrystal was angry. He said, we risk failure in Afghanistan if we don't get 40,000 troops. Obama dithered for 4 months and then only gave him 30,000 troops. Now, if I was a general, I'd be mad.
Right, but none of that, again, comes from General McChrystal himself. I still have to go back to this point that I really think this is the problem with having a Democrat president who chooses his foreign policy based on chance from MoveOn.org. The initial decision to move the focus of the war on terrorism for Iraq, a fantastic country for America's military power, where the military can do what they're trained to do, and which has a population that is more than susceptible to regime change. They're highly educated. To switch it from there to this backwoods country with illiterate peasants living in caves, that is not good for regime change. It is not good for the United States military. But the whole reason for doing that was because MoveOn.org enjoyed the chant that you know, we needed to fight for the war of necessity, not the war of convenience. And why aren't we going after Osama? Why aren't we in Afghanistan?
Here's the shocker. We have a tape. Coulter, you have not seen this tape. I was telling you about it before the interview. General Petraeus is going to take over. General Petraeus was successful in Iraq. Barack Obama opposed it. Joe Biden attacked it. Okay? Here is Barack Obama attacking General Petraeus.
We have now set the bar so low that modest improvement in what was a completely chaotic situation, to the point where now we just have the levels of intolerable violence that existed in June of 2006 is considered success. And it's not. We are now confronted with the question, how do we clean up the mess and make the best out of a situation in which there are no good options? There are bad options and worse options. I think the surge has had some impact, as I suggested. I would hope it would, given the sacrifices and loss that have been made. I would argue that the impact has been relatively modest given the investment. how long will this take? And at what point do we say enough?
Yeah, he actually used the term at one point in this disastrous. He said, no good option. This is after the surge has been successful, bad or worse in terms of the options available, and at best, moderate impact.
Right.
That's what he's saying to the general who was successful.
Right. So General, I feel sorry for General Petraeus. I mean, he's doing, God bless him, he's doing this for his country. But I sort of feel like I'm watching Admiral James Stockdale sign on with Petraeus in the 1992 race.
Why am I here?
Petraeus is this huge American hero who did wage a magnificently successful war in Iraq, and now he's taking a losing hand. Afghanistan is a difficult war to win, and by the way, one of the great stories in this Rolling Stone article is from an American troop who was killed, and the commanders in charge in that area kept asking General McChrystal, we want to knock down these empty buildings because this is where the Taliban is hiding. McChrystal wouldn't let them, and that's where the IED came from that killed this troop a few days after McChrystal was there. So, I mean, I'm not sorry to see McChrystal going, but, man, this president is thin-skinned.
Joe Biden called Petraeus dead flat wrong. That's a direct quote on this whole thing. So here's my question. This is an important question. So now they put in charge a guy that they've shown no confidence in before, and they fire a guy. This is what's driving me crazy. This president's never made a decision. He's voted president his entire life. We've seen his lack of action in the Gulf. So the one time he's going to take a stand is against the hero general who's successful, who he did not give the troops that he requested, or we risk failure. I don't understand this for the life of me, and I think General McChrystal, frankly, ought to come out and tell the whole story.
I absolutely knew that he was going to fire or accept the resignation of General McChrystal because, as we have said, this is the most thin-skinned president, and it was interesting, all of the commentary last night, including the left-wing loons on MSNBC, to
you watch them?
Very smart, it's hilarious, to very smart Charles Krauthammer on Fox News were all saying, okay, he has to call him in, he has to have the resignation handed to him, but he's got to refuse to accept it because he needs McChrystal there. And I knew he would accept the resignation because this is the most thin-skinned man who's walked the face of the earth. And by the way, everything else is blowing up. That's why he's got to put Petraeus in charge. He's got BP, he's got the unemployment numbers, he's got national health care, which the country is enraged over, and you're going to lose the war in Afghanistan?
And we have 132 days till the midterm election. Coulter, always so shy with your views. We really appreciate you being here.